It's not another Buffalo podcast, hosted by three of the most underqualified sports personalities this side of the canal. With John.
There's no way in hell that I can leave that in, right?
You don't think so?
Well, to quote Rage Against the Machine, what better place than here? And, what better time than now?
And Brando.
We have this trust built on, whatever it is, like Bibles and gold bricks and whatever Brandon Bean's drinking over there.
All right, welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm John. I'm here with my buddy Brando here on Tuesday, March 4th. We haven't missed an episode yet this offseason, which is pretty good. I don't know. We're saving it up. So last week we had kind of a filler episode, I guess you might say. It was a good tangent that Brando brought up, and I was in Hawaii at the time, so it worked out great to get that episode all edited and schedule it and then not have to worry about anything that week while I was there taking pictures and stuff like that. So,
And it turned out good. I listened back.
It was a good debate to hop right into because usually, if you listen to this show, you got to listen to 5 minutes of fluff at the beginning of the episode before we get into
The
anything.
fluff is McDermott gets one more chance and then he's done. All right. Sum it up. That's it.
Before we get into it, I want to thank our sponsor, Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, call our guy, Zach Korzelius, 585-409-1088, 585-409-1088. But how you doing? You have a good last week?
Yeah, good, man. I mean, nothing exciting happened in here. The combine came and went. I feel like it was very uneventful for football talk. McDermott and Bean got Khalil Shakir locked up.
Right.
That was good news. They did throw some shade at Keon Coleman. I thought that was interesting. They thought he needed to be better. They fired their strength and conditioning coach. They publicly said that Kincaid and Coleman weren't strong enough in the second half of the season. They weren't like football strength. So that kind of was interesting to see. The Bills don't mess with that usually, right? They had a good stretch of healthy players staying healthy, being fit. And then it's kind of fallen off a little bit as the core has aged too. That kind of causes injury. But to hear your 21-year-old and your 23-year-old offensive weapons weren't strong enough, that was a little concerning. So I'm glad McDermott is doing something about it. Don't do what you always done if it's not great. So do something different to get a better result. I like that. And outside of all of that, it's are the Bills going to trade their picks for Myles Garrett? And the Browns are the dumpster fire of all dumpster fires. So nothing else really happening up here in Western New York. The stadium looks good. I saw that there was only, I think, 11,000 PSLs sold out of the goal of 57,000 PSLs to be sold in the new stadium. So that was a red flag. Actually, I do have one more update that you might be interested in. Did you know anything about Allen's new marketing agency that he did?
No, I haven't heard anything about this.
He just signed on, it's called New Wave Energy, Brand Mint. Interesting name there, Brand Mint. And Skydance Sports are two marketing production companies they're working with Josh Allen. He just did this today.
What industries are these agencies most
marketing?
In just general marketing? This isn't like Josh Allen getting into TV, film, music, something like that.
I didn't catch anything else. And I saw that Peyton Manning and LeBron also did similar things like this, maybe. That was part of the clip that I read. Again, I'm giving you great first-hand knowledge of the situation here. I don't know much more about it. If you do know, let us know in the comments. But it's interesting for Joshy, guy's MVP of the league. He ended his quote with be good, do good, kind of like his MVP spiel. He kind of tied that into the marketing agency. I'm like, this guy's smart. Yeah.
There you go. But I will definitely have to give that a read, see if there's anything interesting there. But yeah, obviously after the whole award show thing, everyone's like, well, Josh should be, his girlfriend's an actress. He should get into that. I'd settle for him hosting Saturday Night Live next year.
He's going to get it, right? Over under in 2 years, he hosts Saturday Night Live.
I was going to say, actually, it really makes the most sense in the off season. So if it's going to happen, it might, I don't know if they'd have it happen this year because this year is the 50th anniversary season. Okay. So they're really trying to be top notch with hosts and stuff like that.
Is Josh Allen not a top notch host, Johnny?
I would think so, because if you're SNL right now, you're probably looking for the next Peyton Manning type personality.
Does Josh not scream?
I think he does. And he's so much better than so as far as football hosts, the other ones that SNL has had on is Eli Manning and Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes hasn't done it either. And
Travis
I don't think
did, though, I think
Travis did.
I think he did.
Might have.
Don't
I can't
quote me on
remember.
that, yeah.
But
okay, I do have
know.
a quote here. Saturday Night Live star wants Bills quarterback Josh Allen to host the show. This came out in November of this year. Heidi Gardner wants to see Buffalo Bills
Heidi
quarterback
Gardner is a Chiefs fan.
host the show. Her quote,
Sorry.
But you know what? I'll give you guys one too. I think we'd all want to work with Josh Allen too. Kind of loosen him up, get him giggling. That would be fun. He's welcome anytime.
Interesting, any kind of subtext in that quote, because
guess,
like I said, Heidi Gardner is a diehard Chiefs fan.
She did an interview with Maddie Glab, so it was in the context of maybe appeasing Buffalo listeners.
Gotcha.
I like the idea though, but it screams to me. I mean, who else in the NFL? I don't see Jalen Hurts doing it. I don't see Mahomes doing it. I don't see Saquon could probably do something.
You could get maybe Joe Burrow. Maybe
Joe Burrow would be funny. Yeah,
Joe Burrow might be kind of in that vein. I don't know. It's a good question.
Top active players to host Saturday Night Live draft.
Oh, we should do that. Maybe we'll do that next week. Players that should
I don't
host
think it's
SNL.
I don't think that's a good draft. I think we go
it's
5
terrible.
names in and it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some good personalities in the NFL. You just have to sit and think about it for a second.
Did Cam Newton ever host Saturday Night Live?
No. That's probably for everyone's own good.
I'm searching this. Nope. Loser. Anyway. Also, did Cam, all I have to do is type did Cam and win a Super Bowl fills up, and it should just automatically, it shouldn't even load the page. It should just say no. It should just pop up no on your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Google AI is not using too much processing power for that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's hop into our main topic for today. We thought we would do our predictions for the classic worst to first. If you don't know what this is, almost every year in the NFL, there's a team out of the 8 divisions that finishes last that wins their division the following year. So it didn't happen this past season, but Brandon, hit me with some of the recent examples.
Do you want the list since 2010?
Sure.
Since 2010. So it's 12 teams since 2010. So the Chiefs did it. Boo. In 2010, they lost in the wild card round. Actually, I will tell you real quick. Only one team has done it and then won the Super Bowl that year. Do you want to trivia this right now?
Since 2010, right?
Well, if you go to 2009, it's 2. So that kind of gives you the 2009 answer. If you remember who won the 2009 Super Bowl.
I don't. I think the Eagles are the one in 2017.
The Eagles are the one in 2017.
2010. I can't think of 2009 though. That would be Saints. Okay.
Yep. So we got the Saints in 2009, Chiefs in 10, Broncos in 11, Washington in 12, Eagles in 13, Washington in 15. This is hilarious because this is a big stretch of NFC North teams, or not NFC North. I'm sorry, NFC East teams.
Yeah.
5, 6. Oh my gosh, most of these are NFC East teams. Sorry. Okay. Eagles, Washington, Cowboys in 16, Jags did it in 17. 2 teams did it in 17, Jags and the Eagles. Eagles win the Super Bowl. In 2018, the Texans did it and the Bears did it. 2020, Washington did it at 7 and 9. Huh.
Right.
Terrible division. 2021, the Bengals did it. 2022, the Jags did it at 9 and 8, albeit. And in 2023, the Texans did it. So I don't know, man. We looked at these teams before the show started for this potential of happening next year. And it's so funny because hindsight is always 2020. We look at this list this year, and by week 15 of next year, we're going to be like, oh, wow, okay, these guys are pretty good. But
right. There's unexpected tricky stories every year. You know, you have like the Vikings this past year. Nobody expected them to do anything. Yep. Not quite a worst to first candidate. But before we hop into our picks, I just want to read the division losers so you can get an idea of remember everybody who finished last. So in the AFC East, it was the Patriots. In the AFC West, it was the Raiders. In the AFC North, it was the Browns. And then the AFC South, it was the Titans. NFC East was the Giants. NFC West was the 49ers. NFC North was the Bears, and the South was the Saints. So I think we're pulling NFC teams for this because Patriots, AFC East.
They Raiders, were my first thought, dude. My first thought were the Patriots, and I was like, we got the Bills in the division. We're fine. Yeah. But they have the pieces if they have a really good offseason to get there.
They might, they're definitely a candidate for most improved over last year's record, right?
Yeah.
But again, what plays into this is who else is in your division. For that reason, I wouldn't take the Raiders either, no matter how much better they're going to get, because they're in the same division as the Chiefs. So Browns, that AFC North is really tough with the Ravens and the Bengals in it as well. And the Titans are in definitely a winnable division there, but I don't think you or I had either of had those guys just because
Nope.
still don't have a quarterback.
Nope.
And that's kind of important in this league for the most part. So then Giants, Eagles have too good of a roster still, I feel like. And Bears, NFC North isn't giving away anytime soon. They had three teams with 11 plus wins last year.
The Bears could have a case with the departures of the Lions coaching staff, second year in Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson calling the plays. Now there's a chance there that you see the Lions, the Packers. I think the Vikings are the regress team, right? I mean, losing Sam Darnold, but even if the Lions regress a little bit to 10-7 or 11-6, that's matchable. I think if the Bears can pull out a win or two against them, if they win a couple division games, it could get there. But I think the Bears are interesting. I think the Patriots are interesting as a Bills homer. I don't, we could blow right by it, but I still think that they're interesting. We got the Stanley Steamer carpet cleaner there. They got the most cap space in the NFL. Again, it's not a great free agency class though. They need a receiver. Are they going to get Chris Godwin? No, I don't think he would go there. So you're looking at Jacoby Myers. You're looking at, somebody that's not going to be that helpful. So they're going to have to make a deal. And then we go to our picks. Who do you think it's going to be? You want me to lead off or you want to lead off?
You can lead off because this was both of our choice. And then obviously we couldn't pick the same one. So
I only got this because of your gentlemanness. And you gave me this as the
it's all right. I said pick. You could have first pick anyway. So I picked the topic. You picked the team.
49ers were my pick. This is tough. And you're kind of banking on the whole division beating up on themselves. It seems to happen every year. They play each other very well. Matt Stafford, a year older with the Rams. The Rams just have that young defensive front that's really strong. And Cooper Kupp, losing him could be a big deal, I think, for that offense. But as long as Puka Nacua is on the field, they have Williams in the backfield. They're good. But the Niners have a massive amount of draft picks in this upcoming draft. They have a first round, second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round. I think it's 11. They're going to be building around Brock Purdy as long as they got the Bosa on the back end. They are losing a couple of free agents in the secondary. I'm reading a PFF article here. Tre'Davious Ward, God, the two hardest names I could pronounce possibly. Tre'Davious Ward and Tanola Hufanga expected to be free agents, and they're in their secondary. So, if you can get to the quarterback, you don't need a great secondary, which I guess that's the Niners' plan now, to just bull rush quarterbacks. But I think that's a good choice. Christian McCaffrey, big question mark on the health, right? He's got a lot of miles on his legs. Brandon Ayuk, they're open to shopping Brandon Ayuk after they trade Debo Samuel.
There you go. That one's so hard. Debo is your Achilles heel.
It's very hard.
I don't know what it is.
Aaron Rodgers' Achilles heel. So
there you go.
So I don't know. I think it can do it. It's all that goes awry, and these teams that are bad stay bad. It'll be an interesting indictment on their build of their roster because they're signing Brock Purdy to quite the large percentage of their cap, and they have a lot of money tied up in 4 players. So Ayuk, Purdy, McCaffrey, and Bosa. So how are they going to win now? Kyle Shanahan's going to need a little bit of magic. Does he have it? Usually it runs out at some point. I mean, he hasn't gotten that Super Bowl yet, so we'll see what happens, but
yeah, they're just that perennial contender who had a Super Bowl hangover year, right? Yeah. It was kind of like this past year was everything that could go wrong, did go wrong. You had the McCaffrey injury not pan out. You had just their entire offense was never really clicking on all cylinders. So I don't know. I just, if they regressed or regress to the mean, progress to the mean, I guess is what they, you would call it. Back to what their average season is. They're going to be right in the mix of it because I don't see Seattle, I don't see LA, and I certainly don't see Arizona popping off a 13-14 win season this year. So I think the winner of that division is probably 11, 12 wins tops.
But if you really think about it, Arizona has a case. Marvin Harrison Jr. could blow up, and Kyler Murray could be good. Seahawks are probably going to be the worst team in the division. Rams have a chance.
The Seahawks have been perennially average.
Mediocre. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, I predict 10-7, 9-8, 8-9 ish for them. But again, you're going to have all those teams in that probably right around 10 win mark optimistically. And then one of them is going to be disappointing. And then I think it's right for the taking there. So I don't think San Fran has to they don't have to move mountains to win this division. So I think they're definitely the best candidate.
One of the 7-6 teams is going to beat the other 7-6 team. So
right. Somebody's got to beat somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm counting on for my pick in the NFC South with the Saints. Somebody's got to beat somebody.
Terrible division,
and if you can get 2 wins against the Bucs or 1 win against the Bucs, like This division was terrible this past year. Obviously, the Bucks win it at 10-7. Atlanta was 8-9, and Carolina was also 5-12, along with the Saints. So Saints lost the tiebreaker there, so they were default last in the division there. But you got a new coach coming in with Kellen Moore. You've got good draft position because of how badly you finished. And can we squeeze one more good season out of Derek Carr? He's got the magic in him.
He's the seventh best quarterback last year, according to PFF.
Yeah, so he's not bad. He's a guy. You're paying him a lot more than he probably is worth, but he is a guy. And the defense showed a few sparks here this past year, so it's like there are a few bright spots, but really my biggest case for this versus any of these other divisions is I think this division is more right for the taking than anything else. I mean, you could win this division at 7-10 possibly. I'm not saying that's probable.
This, man. Baker's mad somewhere.
I think Tampa's a good team, but like no one's immune to a bad year, and Tampa's not coming off of a 12-win season. They're coming off of a 10-win season. Now, granted, they went through a lot of adversity. They lost both their wide receivers for most of the season, or at least after week 5 or 6. I can't remember where Godwin and Evans both got injured. Evans still made it to a 1,000-yard season there, but he's going to be 1 year older in this. Chris Godwin's going to be coming off of a torn ACL. Vita Vea is 1 year older. They have one of the oldest cores in the NFL, I want to say. And Baker is I love Baker. Baker's a guy, but again, I would not be surprised to see them in the 8-9 range, 9-8 range, which makes this doable, or at least the second most doable in the league, in my opinion. So I'm going to go Saints there. I don't have high hopes for the Saints this year. This is by no means saying I don't think that they have some cap hurdles.
I have it right here. Can I read it to you? I'm not trying to poke holes with you, but I think there's some work to be done if you're the GM of the Saints.
Maybe they hit all their draft picks. I don't know. That's probably the best hope.
Every draft pick in this draft to just roster a team that's not over the cap. So Ryan Ramczak, I believe he's a guard. He's the offensive tackle. He just threw the Saints a solid, waived his $18 million base salary in exchange for the veteran minimum because he's being forced into a medical retirement, but it saves the cap. The cap savings are $16.7 million. So with that savings, it puts the Saints cap commitments in 2025 at $326 million. And the cap is expected to be about $279 million. So any simple math there gets you about 50 mil over. Still. So there's a lot of players that they can restructure,
push some money down the line.
And Derek Carr said no. He did not want to restructure it. But if they do restructure it, they could save 30 million in his cap number. But he doesn't want to. It's interesting because how do you do it? I mean, they have, according to here, they can restructure 4 different guys, 6 million, 5 million, 5 million, and 10 million. So that's 30 mil. So you're still 20 mil over. And you got to roster a team. I'm curious what happens if you're not cap compliant. You get draft pick penalties. I'm going to Google that.
I think you have to be cap compliant at certain points of the year.
Yeah, but what if you can't?
I don't know. I don't know what happens. I think it's it's like it's like an unbreakable vow in Harry Potter. You die, I think.
So teams can be fined over $5 million for each violation. The league can take away their draft picks. The league can void contracts, making them free agents. And then they can restrict the team from signing anybody.
That seems
interesting.
Bad.
Interesting. I'd love to see that happen.
That seems like enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you ever been in a box in Madden where you got 27 players and you're at a $250 million cap and you're like, oh, what do I do? You just start over. You just delete it and start over. You can't delete the Saints here.
Yeah. But I don't forget what the Saints really fell off the giantest of cliffs this past season. Do you remember their first 2-3 games where their offense was scoring 40 points a game?
There's always somebody like that though. Every year.
Exactly. I just need them to be like that for
2 more weeks,
5 games next season, and then they can be average for the rest of the season and get me to 9 or 10 wins to sneak by on a tiebreaker in that division. I don't know. I think they're just the second best candidate on this list. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to tell you the Saints are going to be the next best thing in the NFL, but
we'll see what the draft comes. And I still think there is intrigue with the Bears. It lines up 2nd-year quarterback, new offensive head coach, even if they're not 14 win second-year quarterback team. I think 11, 12, 10 wins might do it next year. We'll see how the Lions do it. It'll be interesting to see how they recover, losing both their coordinators, a bunch of their coaching staff. Can Campbell keep it together? And Bills fan at heart. Patriots are interesting. I think they could beat up on the bad teams in the division too. They could get 2 on the Jets and split with the Dolphins. And maybe they split with us last year, so that would suck. But I think it's you can build a thesis for it if you try really hard with all the cap space that they have.
You gotta move mountains logically in my mind to do that. I don't know. I like maybe this is me being like, I never bought into the Jets hype this past year. I was never like, I bought into the hype that they might be the second best team in the division, which sounds hilarious now, right? But I was never like, the Bills were always still the favorite in my mind. And maybe that's just me being a homer, but I still feel the same way this way. It's theirs until it isn't. Like,
make sure I agree. I'm just saying you could build a thesis for the Patriots. Same thing, second-year quarterback. Stanley Steamer is the coach. Josh McDaniels is OC. Doesn't have to be the face of a franchise, which goes terribly for him. He's got Mike Vrabel to fall back on. And Drake May was good. And the Patriots just, they don't have anything around him. How much can they put around him in the second year? Or is it going to be a third-year jump for him because of the way the team is set up? They're not going to be able to build the infrastructure around Drake May. So we might see something interesting. We might see a year 2 Josh Allen situation here where he gets average players. John Brown and Cole Beasley were good. They were above average, I think, when we brought them in. But I think they might get players a little bit. Jacoby Myers is maybe a step below John Brown. Yeah, with a reunion here of sorts to be brought back. We'll see. But I think they could sneak their way to 9 or 10 wins. And if the Bills regress at all, they could still win the division at 11. And 6. We'll see. Don't hate me. I'm just curious, man.
We need a bet.
I'm not going to bet on it. That's stupid. I'm just saying.
Are they your third most likely team on this list?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trying to think. I think I'd still put. I put the Titans ahead of them because the AFC South is such a joke. Usually, maybe even the Giants. Like I don't even know who they're going to have.
They have to though. They don't have a choice. And I think that's a good pick because if you look around and, you see that division is like an arms race now again. We're getting Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders. We're getting a healthy Dak. CeeDee Lamb's healthy again. You got the Super Bowl champions in there. So when you think about that,
that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough.
But every year that rotates around. But Brian Dable and Adam Shen are playing for their jobs. Or Joe Shen. Not Adam Shen. Shane. Yeah, that guy. The GM of the Giants. If they don't win this year, they're done. So Aaron Rodgers to New York, that'd be interesting. Kirk Cousins to New York, they're the same player. Justin Fields, I don't know. Sam Darnold, maybe.
None of these are moving the needle for me.
Sam Darnold's probably the only one that I would think moves the needle. And Malik Neighbors gets somebody that can throw him the football. That could be enough to get him some wins.
I guess, yeah. In that case, you have 2 teams that you really got to hop right between. Philly and Washington. And that's just, taking Dallas out of it. And Dallas is probably not going to have 2 terrible years in a row like they did this past year. So I don't know. Do you have any quick picks for first to worst candidate? And this is first to worst, not to be confused with the Sabres worst to worst that they're usually known for funny. Season to season.
First to worst. Let me look here really quick.
I'll read them off for you.
I got it up here.
Okay. I'll read it off for the audience.
Yes.
Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, Eagles, Rams, Lions, Bucks.
If I build you a case for the Chiefs, would that be worse than building a case for the Patriots to win our division? Like, is that?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that building the case is Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL week 1 and Travis Kelce retires.
So, anyways,
I think that's the case. That's the case. Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL the first week and Travis Kelce retires. Like that's the whole case.
I wish the Browns showed a little bit of life because you could argue with the Ravens being in there. I mean, the Steelers are but they play each other well. The Bengals should be better next year, so they could beat each other up. The Texans, interesting situation there, and they're going to need a new offensive coordinator coming in his first year. Colts aren't going to. I don't trust the Colts. Jags are just. Bleh. So you go to the NFC. I mean, are we looking at the Bucks and the Rams here?
I think the Rams are my pick for this one.
Yeah.
The year that they had after they won the Super Bowl was pretty indicative of like, if things go south, then, Matt Stafford gets injured, like things can really go south, so I wouldn't anticipate that, but I don't know.
Is there any concern that a 10 wins Lions team could finish in last in their division?
It's possible with the way things shook out this year. I think a 9-win team could finish last, or an 8-9 team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It never usually works out like that. Like those teams would have to have almost perfect records against everybody else. And then because you're going to get, there's 6 divisional games per year, between teams. So
what's more likely, New England to pass the Bills or the Lions to finish in last in their division?
I think Lions to finish last.
I think that's so too, because their division's so good. Everybody's so good. And like we said, the Bears are on the rise now.
Both almost equally unlikely, I would think, because the Patriots have one team to pass, right? And I'm not trying to put this into the universe, but catastrophic seasons happen where your best player gets injured or something like that. So it's always possible. I was talking about our best player, Reed Ferguson, the long snapper.
Hey, former podcast host.
I like Reed. Sorry,
Me too.
not throwing shade. It's just
I like Reed.
most obscure position I could think of.
Yeah.
Anyway, who would your pick be? Either Rams, or you can make a case for the Bucks too.
I'm not making a case for the Bucks. I'd say the Rams. Tough division. Call it Lions. I don't know, man. NFL's crazy. That division's so good, but I think the Vikings will finish in last. I don't know what I'm talking about.
The Lions roster is still like just too good year over year. I feel like that roster has a floor of 10 wins. It's gotta. Yeah,
I would say Rams again. Not to hope for that. I like Matt Stafford, but it could happen.
Well, anyway, before we close out the show here, I'm going to play this clip because this is a look ma, I'm famous moment. I'm going to pull it up from your messages. I got off the plane we flew through San Diego on the way back. So I got off the plane in Nashville at like 1 a.m. and you had sent me this. And so I was listening to this as we're walking through the empty airport and laughing my butt off.
And I only found this because a listener messaged us.
Shout out to Rudy also. Yeah. So appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about vibes. David says NABP. I don't know what that stands for. Ranked the AFC teams by vibes. What's your vibes ranking? And then David offered his pre-free agency. His is the Bengals, Broncos, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Texans, Patriots, Chargers, Dolphins, Titans, Steelers, Colts, Jaguars, Browns, Raiders, Jets. Mine are very, very different. And so I've 1 through 16. I've went through and basically.
Oh my God. First of all, Joe sounds so disgusted that he would have to rank teams by vibes.
Who would do that? I mean, come on. Yeah.
Shout out to listener David, first of all, who's probably going to listen to this. Like, thanks, David. Like that's cool. Like mentioned us on the other thing, but
tiny bit salty at first.
A little bit. But,
and then it was like,
that happens.
Wait, he's going to do a full show on what we just did. That means it was a good idea. Okay. All right. And somebody might listen to us.
He doesn't seem like he enjoyed the idea very much. But
well, he went on for 25 more minutes. And I like Joe. He does a good job with their.
Oh my God. Joe is the best at what he does. And, we know that what we're trying to do is not what Joe does at all.
He does it every day. He does this every day.
Yeah. It's a full-time job.
Locked on.
We're just chilling. We're just chilling out with you guys and having a good time. We're here for a good time, not a long time, or an analytical time even.
My buddy was asking me, he wanted to start a podcast. He was like, give me the rundown. And I was like, you got to find what you want to be and don't be anything different than that. Like be entertainment, be sports analytics, be sports gambling. What do you want to be? And I'm like, we had to find that. And I think we did. And I think that's what our listeners like. So,
yeah.
And I'm like, and then all these subscriptions for all this crap, all the editing. Right. I was like,
so it adds up quick. Adds up quick.
Anyways.
I thought it was funny. I also I was listening to that and I was laughing because Joe sounds so disgusted at also this listener's picks. He's reading off his list. Like, how dare you rank them in this order? And I was like, come on, man. And it's not just Joe Marino who does this, by the way. Like, even some of my favorite people who host radio shows do this every once in a while. Like Jeremy from the morning show included, those guys. Like, my pet peeve is when a listener calls in and is just trying to make a point or have a conversation, and the host obviously disagrees with them.
This is the Mike Shope special.
Yeah, but it's not the respectfully disagree. It's the
yeah.
Right. It's the I don't have time for this kind of response that I'm like, come on, man. Like, just this person listens to you. This person looks up to you. Give them the time of day, or at least tell them that you appreciated them reaching out and like, you know, wanting to talk to you or wanting to be part of the conversation. I mean, short of them saying something absolutely stupid, like I get that. Like there are tons of callers
so many people say absolutely
WG.
stupid stuff though. That's why it's so funny.
That deserves it sometimes. That deserves it. But like if you're totally off kilter, but if you're just, you know, if you're offering an opinion that really is not right. If you're Dave who just wants like an interesting or who enjoyed our conversation, like shout out to you, Dave. We appreciate you. Dave, and if any of you listeners ever want to ask us a question, we will not talk down our noses at
unless
you.
It's stupid.
Unless it's really stupid.
I only say this the
bar is low. The bar is very low.
As an avid listener of the post game shows on the Bills games when I'm driving home from work from the stadium, the people say stupid stuff. A lot of them are drunk, first of all, calling in to Mike and Bulldog. And to hear them deal with it, I think it depends on what game it is. You know, is it a night game? Are they working the next day? You know, I don't know. But they do a good job until they hit a point and somebody says something ridiculous. It's like, get out of here with that. Get out of here. Next call. Give me something else. Let's do. That's got to be the hardest part of hosting a real radio job. Like,
Of course. And there's a difference between trying to answer a question about somebody who's asking if Josh Allen should move to tight end or somebody just offering like an opinion in the offseason when we're just like everything is open season, whatever you want to talk about, you know.
And also not for nothing, you get a screener, right? The producer, you have to tell the producer what you want to talk about, and they put little notes on the caller. And then when the call order comes up on your screen, the hosts, you know, the main guys talking can see, okay, this is Brandon from Buffalo. He wants to talk about the trade deadline coming up. It's not like a comment on Twitter that there's 40 of them and I can pick which one I want, right? Like you can pick what you want to talk about. Like Joe did pick that comment on purpose because he did the episode about the vibes. So it's like, you know, you don't get to pick. You have the queue of calls, but everybody gets to call in, and it's not like, nah, that's dumb, we're going to hang up on you. Like, you're going to just say it on the air, and then it's up to those two guys to react. And that's why it exists, and that's why it's existed and been successful for so long, because these guys do a good job of answering them. I think it's hilarious. I find it hilarious.
Yeah. I used to like how Murph handled callers on One Bills Live. He's one of my favorites when it comes to that, because
that was a great show.
Yeah. But anyway, well, we ran a little bit long, but what else is new?
That's okay.
You guys can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Send us a comment. Send us anything you want to talk about. Again, send us an email, notanotherbillspodcast@gmail.com. Had some really good back and forth with you guys on there before. So again, appreciate you guys for listening. If you're this deep in the off season, you're definitely a committed listener. So again, we appreciate you. We'll be back next week. We'll try to get Pat on at the time of day that his kid is not taking up most of his time, which is tough. So we appreciate every time he comes on, but we'll try to, coerce him onto the show next week for sure. And I think we might have some guests coming up in the next few weeks and stuff like that, because we got some people in the queue that we gotta set some stuff up with. So
let's do it.
Got some good stuff in the pipeline. So we'll see you guys here next week. And as always, go Bills.
Do good, be good. God bless. Go Bills. It's so hard to get out on first try. Yeah. Do you think he prepped that? Like, do you think it was ready?
I definitely think he did.
Okay.
Yeah.